Free. After 19 years. I was in prison for 19 years. I did nothing wrong, but no one believed me. The days were long, and the nights were cold. Every morning I woke up in my small cell. The walls were gray, and the door was heavy. I had no freedom. I could not see my family. I could not walk outside. My life was the same every single day. One morning a guard came to my cell. He opened the door and looked at me. His face was different. He was not angry. He was not cold. He said, "You can go home now." I did not understand his words. I asked, "Why?" My voice was small and weak. My hands were shaking. He said, "They found a mistake. You did nothing wrong." My heart started to beat faster. I walked out of my cell. The prison was big, but I knew every wall, every door, every shadow. I walked past the other men. They watched me in silence. Some looked sad. Some looked angry. Some looked lost. I did not look back. I kept walking forward. My heart was fast. My mind was empty. My body felt so light. At the gate, a man gave me my old clothes. They were too small. They smelled strange and old. I put them on slowly. Another man gave me some money. It was not much. He said, "Good luck out there." I took the money and nodded. I did not know what to say. I had forgotten how to speak. The big gate opened. I stepped outside. The sun was bright and hot. I closed my eyes. I felt the wind on my face. It was warm. It was soft and light. I took a deep breath. The air was fresh. It smelled like trees, cars, and life. My hands were still shaking. My heart was still fast. My legs felt weak. People walked on the street. Cars moved in every direction. The world was loud and busy. Everything was different. I saw big screens on buildings. I saw people looking at small phones. I saw buses, trains, and shops everywhere. I saw children running and laughing. I felt lost in a world I did not know. I stood there for a long time. My legs were weak. My body was tired. I did not know where to go. I had no home, no job, no family waiting for me. I was free, but I was completely alone. I took a step forward. My new life was finally beginning. I stood outside the prison gate. The world was big, loud, and fast. People walked past me. No one looked at me. I felt small and invisible. My hands were cold. My heart was still beating fast. I took a deep breath. The air smelled fresh, but it also smelled different. It was not like the air in prison. It was full of life, cars, and food. Everything felt strange and new. I looked down at my clothes. They were old, small, and rough. They did not feel like mine anymore. I touched my face. My beard was long. My hair was messy. I had not seen myself in a mirror for many years. I felt like a stranger in my own body. I wanted to find a mirror. I wanted to see who I was now. I started walking. My legs were weak. My steps were slow. The street was full of people, cars, and noise. I saw shops with bright lights. I saw people drinking coffee and talking. I saw children playing with things I did not know. The world had changed. It was not the world I left 19 years ago. I felt lost in time. I reached into my pocket. I had some money, but not much. I needed food. I needed water. I needed a place to sit and think. I saw a small cafe on the corner. People were sitting outside, drinking and eating. I wanted to go inside, but I was afraid. I did not know how to order food anymore. I did not know how to talk to people. I took a deep breath and stepped inside. The smell of coffee was strong. The place was warm and quiet. People were looking at their phones. No one noticed me. I walked to the counter. A young man stood there. He smiled and said, "What would you like?" His voice was friendly, but I did not know what to say. My mind was empty. My words were slow. I pointed at a sandwich and a coffee. The man nodded. He told me the price. I took out my money and gave it to him. My hands were shaking. He gave me my food. I took the tray and looked for a place to sit. I found a small table in the corner. I sat down and took a deep breath. My new life had really begun. I picked up the sandwich. It was soft and warm. I took a bite. The taste was strong and rich. It was different from prison food. In prison, food was cold, dry, and tasteless. This was real food. This was freedom. I drank the coffee. It was hot and bitter, but it felt good. For the first time in 19 years, I was eating as a free man. I sat in the cafe holding my coffee. The cup was warm in my hands. I looked around. People were talking, laughing, and looking at their phones. No one noticed me. I felt like a ghost. I had been gone for 19 years and the world had moved on. Everything was different. The cars, the clothes, the music, even the way people talked had changed. I felt like I did not belong. I finished my food and stood up. My legs were still weak, but I had to keep moving. I walked outside. The sun was high and the streets were busy. I needed to find a place to sleep. I had no home, no family, no friends. I did not know where to go. The city was big and I was just a man with no past. I walked past stores with bright signs. I saw people carrying bags, buying things, living their lives. I had no phone, no ID, no job. I had only the clothes on my back and a little money in my pocket. I saw a man sitting on the sidewalk. He had a small bag and a sign. He was homeless. I looked at him, and for the first time I understood how he felt. I kept walking. I saw a park with empty benches. The grass was green and the trees were tall. It was quiet, away from the noise of the city. I sat down and closed my eyes. The wind was soft on my face. I took a deep breath. I was free, but freedom felt heavy. I had to start my life again, but I did not know how. The sun began to set. The sky turned orange and pink. People left the park, going home to their families. I had no home to go to. I looked up at the darkening sky for 19 years. I dreamed of this moment. Now I was here and I was afraid. The night was coming and I had nowhere to sleep. The sun disappeared behind the buildings. The air became colder. The streets were still busy, but I felt alone. People walked past me, going home to their warm beds. I had no home, no bed, no place to rest. I pulled my jacket closer to my body. It was thin and old. It did not keep me warm. I needed a place to sleep, but I had nowhere to go. I walked back to the park. The benches were empty now. The city lights shone in the distance. I sat down and looked up at the sky. The stars were small, but they were there. In prison, I could not see the stars. The windows were too high and the walls were too thick. Now I could see them. But they did not make me feel better. I heard footsteps behind me. I turned and saw a man. He was old with a gray beard and tired eyes. He carried a small bag and wore many layers of clothes. He looked at me and nodded. "First night out?" he asked. His voice was rough but kind. I did not answer. I just nodded back. He sat on the bench next to me and sighed. "You'll get used to it," he said. The cold, the noise, the feeling of being invisible. He opened his bag and took out a piece of bread. He broke it in half and gave me one piece. I hesitated, but then I took it. "Thank you," I said quietly. The bread was dry, but it was food. I ate slowly. It was better than being hungry. We sat in silence. The city was loud, but the park was quiet. "What did you do?" he asked after a while. I looked at him. His eyes were tired, but not unkind. "Nothing," I said. I was innocent. He nodded as if he understood. "Me too," he said. I did not know if he was telling the truth, but it did not matter. Tonight we were just two men without a home. The wind grew colder. The old man lay down on the bench and closed his eyes. "Sleep if you can," he said. "Tomorrow will be another long day." I leaned back and looked at the sky again. My first night of freedom was not what I imagined. I was not in a warm house. I was not with my family. I was alone on a bench under the open sky. But I was free. And that had to mean something. I woke up to the sound of birds. The air was still cold, and my back was stiff from the hard bench. The old man was gone. I looked around, but I did not see him. It was early, and the park was quiet. The city was waking up. Cars moved, people walked, and life continued. I sat there for a long time trying to remember how mornings felt before prison. My stomach was empty. I had no breakfast, no warm coffee, no home to return to. I needed food. I needed a plan. I stood up and walked toward the streets. The shops were opening. People were buying food, drinking coffee, talking on their phones. I felt like I was watching a different world, one I did not belong to anymore. I reached into my pocket. I had a little money left, not much, but enough for something small. I walked to a bakery. The smell of fresh bread filled the air. It made my stomach ache. I stood in line. When it was my turn, the woman at the counter looked at me. "What do you want?" she asked. Her voice was not kind, not unkind, just normal. I pointed at a piece of bread. She told me the price. I gave her the money with my shaking hands. She handed me the bread, and I took it carefully. "Thank you," I said. She did not answer. I stepped outside and took a bite. It was warm and soft. It was better than anything I had eaten in years. I stood on the sidewalk, eating slowly, watching the world move around me. After I finished, I kept walking. I saw a newspaper on the ground. I picked it up and read the date. 19 years. I had lost 19 years. The world had moved forward, and I had stayed behind. I read the headlines. I did not know the names, the events, the stories. Everything was new. Everything was strange. I passed by a clothing store. My clothes were old and too small. I looked through the window. People were buying shirts, pants, shoes. I needed new clothes, but I had no money left. I turned away and kept walking. I had nothing but my freedom, and freedom did not keep me warm. I saw a man standing near a building. He was older, wearing a suit. He looked important. He was giving out papers. I watched him for a while. People took the papers and walked away. I walked closer. The sign next to him said, "Help wanted." I hesitated. I needed a job. I needed money. I needed to start my life again. The man looked at me. "Looking for work?" he asked. His voice was direct. I nodded. "Do you have experience?" he asked. I opened my mouth, but I did not know what to say. My last job was 19 years ago. Everything was different now. "I can learn," I said. My voice was quiet, but steady. He looked at me for a moment, then handed me a paper. "Come tomorrow," he said. I took the paper and looked at it. It was a job at a warehouse, lifting boxes, organizing shelves. It was not much, but it was something. It was a start. I folded the paper carefully and put it in my pocket. My hands were still shaking, but for the first time, I felt a small piece of hope. Held the paper tightly in my hand. It was just a job, just words on a page. But to me, it was more. It was a chance. A small door opening after 19 years of darkness. I did not know if I could do it, but I had to try. I had nothing else. I took a deep breath and started walking. The city felt different now. Yesterday it was big and cold. Today it was still big, still loud. But I was not just a man with no past. I was a man with a future, even if it was small. I walked past shops, past people, past streets that all looked the same. My steps were faster now. My heart was still heavy, but there was something new inside me. Hope. I found a small public bathroom and stepped inside. The mirror on the wall was cracked, but I could still see my reflection. I barely recognized myself. My beard was long, my hair messy, my eyes tired. I turned on the water and washed my face. The cold water woke me up. It felt good. I ran my fingers through my hair, trying to look different, trying to look new. I left the bathroom and walked toward the warehouse. The building was big and old. Trucks moved in and out. Men carried boxes, pushed carts, worked hard. I felt nervous. I had not worked in 19 years. My hands had only known metal bars and prison walls. I stood near the entrance, waiting. The man from yesterday saw me. He walked over and nodded. "You're here," he said. I nodded back. "Follow me," he said. I followed him inside. The air smelled like dust and oil. The floors were rough, the lights bright. He pointed to a stack of boxes. "Start here," he said. "Move them to the other side." It was simple work, but to me it was everything. I placed my hands on the first box. It was heavy, but I lifted it. My muscles ached, but I did not stop. Hour after hour I worked. Sweat covered my skin. My arms hurt. My legs shook, but I kept going. No one looked at me like I was different. No one knew my past. Here, I was just another worker. just another man trying to survive, and for the first time in 19 years, I felt like I belonged. When the day ended, the man handed me some money. My first pay. It was not much, but it was mine. I closed my fingers around it, holding it tight. I stepped outside, the sun setting behind the buildings. My body was tired, but my heart was light. I had survived prison. I had survived my first night. And now, I had survived my first day of work. My new life had truly begun. I hope this session was helpful. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more such interesting stories. Take care, everyone.